Yeah, yeah. Remember, the key to success is working hard. For our country, we must have regard. Forget all your differences, let we start to build. And onward to progress we surely will. Because now, more than ever, we must show discipline, tolerance, and production.
Now more than ever, we must show discipline, tolerance, and production. I want to welcome you to the Dynamic Hour on this Sunday, the 25th day of January 2026. We have 6 more days to go for the first month in 2026 to be gone. And then we move into February. Independence is very close by. In fact, the church service for the 52nd Independence anniversary is taking place in Petite Martinique. So they have already started quite a number of activities. Last night, the Honorable Andy Williams and the team, they had a pre-independence celebrations down there at Heroes Park. So quite a bit is happening where that is concerned. So the year is quickly moving by. Some people will tell you that that's the fastest they've seen January move by. I want to encourage the folks on Facebook and YouTube to please share the live. Sharing is caring. When you share the live, your friends on your page will get the opportunity to view the program. So, for example, the last program I did, the Facebook viewership was about 8,000, almost 9,000 people. But you can help to get more people to listen to the program. You can help in that process of spreading the word, right? Letting more and more people discover the show. And it's not too difficult. You have a share button just under the live. All you need to do is to share the program, right? So the last program I did, almost 7,000 people viewed that program. And the one before that, 13,000 people, almost 14,000 people viewed that program. And the one before that, almost 8,000 people viewed that, right? But that's just on Facebook. And the one before that, just about 9,000 people viewed that. And the one before that, just about 9,000 or so people viewed that. But I'm saying that's just on Facebook. And then you have YouTube, 2,000 something people, 3,000 something people, it depends. And then you have the radio, right? Where we have on average 5,000 to 6,000 people listening in. So we are able to connect with great many people, but you can help. You can help in the process by sharing the live. You will help more people to discover the program. I want to start off by saying the NDC cares about people. And that is why they do things to impact the lives of people. When I saw this piece, I felt good.
A press conference was held on Friday morning as Minister for Mobilization, Implementation and Transformation, Honorable Andy Williams, provided an update and engaged the public on Phase 2 of the Sponsor Elim Program pilot project. The Government of Grenada, through the Ministry of Mobilization, Implementation and Transformation, has partnered with the Amputee Center Trinidad and Tobago Orthotics and Prosthetics Organization to deliver clinical care, training and follow-up support aimed at helping amputees amputees regain independence and improve their quality of life. The initiative began in October 2025 following extensive dialogue with the Amputee Center and a period of public engagement and participant enrollment. During the press conference, Minister Andy Williams highlighted the progress of the program and outlined the government's commitment to expanding support for persons living with limb loss.
This initiative is one that we saw as essential, and it started by someone in the constituency coming forward and asking for assistance. And we thought, the fact that people have to go down to Trinidad and to bear the cost of the airline tickets, but in addition to having to board the airline, we think it was not too convenient, and we as government could facilitate the process by contacting Mr. Goodell and having him come up. And sometime last year we had a session with the folks that needed prosthetics, and by doing it that way, we thought let us bring it to the people who need it. This week, Mr. Goodell is going to the different persons that came to the engagement last year. And again, we could have asked them to come to the room, but instead we are going to them to take the measurements, because we understand that someone with one leg or no leg at all, it may be difficult to come.
Member of Parliament for St. George North East, Honorable Ron Redhead, also addressed the conference, detailing key aspects of the initiative and underscoring its national significance.
This program is designed to do two important things at once. One, to provide immediate relief to those in need and lay the foundation for a sustainable policy-driven approach to amputee care in Grenada. It is about access to care, dignity, and opportunity. With the heavy logistical and high-cost barriers that have excluded far too many of our people. Central to this pilot is the partnership with the private sector to sponsor a limb, or even two, if they can, and become active partners in restoring mobility and independence to fellow Grenadians. This initiative is both timely and strategic. It aligns directly with the Ministry of Social and Community Development's efforts to finalize Grenada's first national policy on disability.
Representative of the Amputee Center Trinidad and Tobago Orthotics and Prosthetics LLC Limited, Mario Goodell, highlighted the longevity and durability of their products.
Depends on the treatment, all right. Average is between 3 and 5 years. But you have to service it on a yearly base. And if you're a farmer, and depends how you treat it. But I will give it between 3 and 5 years. Definitely. After that, you need a new limb.
Right. So, folks, this is a very good initiative where amputees, and we have a lot of people in Grenada who lost a limb, lost a leg, lost, toes, lost some part of their body, particularly, from the leg down. And what this government has done is to partner with a company in Trinidad, because normally our people had to travel to Trinidad, and that would cost a lot. So they decided, let us partner with that company, let them come to Grenada, let them set up in Grenada and provide the service to our people. So this is a good move. You never know how you will end up. I remember a good friend who was all strong and powerful. And then he discovered, after getting some minor cuts on his foot or toe, that he had diabetes and other complications. And they had to remove, I think it was 2 of his toes. And then they remove the feet, right? But I'm saying all of this to say to you, you never know how you will end up. So helping these people today will bring some level of comfort to them and to their community. Because remember, these people were strong people in their community, helping their community, helping their family. In many instances, they were breadwinners of the home. So getting them back to that place, because you not having a limb or some toes or, that kind of thing, shouldn't prevent you from being mobile, shouldn't prevent you from going to work, shouldn't prevent you from just being. This is 2026. So I'm happy that this government continues to care for people. We have not seen that kind of governance under the NNP. The NNP saw these people as a vote. When the election came close by, they would go pick them up and get them to vote for them. And a lot of people could attest to that. But here you have the NDC giving them a second chance to mobility, giving them a second chance so that they can just get about their life and just be normal. Because indeed they're normal, but they needed that helping hand. And they're asking the private sector, sponsor a limb, sponsor somebody, right? This is good. This is good corporate responsibility. So I want to applaud the NDC for such an initiative and keep doing that. Some people may not value it now, but down the road, it might happen to their family member. It might happen to their friend. You never know. You're strong, you're powerful today, but you don't know what lies down the road. So it's always good to be good. It's always good to be good to people, to your friends, to your family, to your neighbors. All right? That is important. And then the second piece I want to play for you is this student, I think from SAS. But this student is very, very bright, and he has a good future ahead. Listen to the questions he posed to our beloved Prime Minister.
Now, Honorable Prime Minister Dickon Mitchell, in recent times I've noticed that hospitals and medical centers have been facing a shortage in resources. What do you, along with the Ministry of Health, plan to do to help solve this issue in the best interest of the people of Grenada? Now, my second question is, the teaching industry is one of the most important industries in Grenada, as it helps to nurture our young minds, leading to a brighter, better future for the country of Grenada. Now, teaching has become a bit of a scarce occupation in these recent times, as no young people are really enticed to become teachers nowadays. What steps do you think the government can take to help introduce new talents, as well as keep all the older or more experienced teachers in that line of work? Also, how can we get more, let's say, specialized educators in fields such as mathematics, science, chemistry, and so on, to come into this field and to see what effect it would have on student outcomes?
Wow, the students have started off with a bang. Those are some tough questions. So I will start first with the health centers, medical stations, and so on. Well, first of all, many of the we met many of the health stations, medical stations in poor physical condition, and we have embarked upon renovating many of them, and that is ongoing. So that's step one, improving the physical amenities of the stations. Step two, as you are also aware, we do have challenges with human resources, specifically the number of nurses in particular in the country. And so some of the short-term measures we are taking, for example, includes the importation of nurses. We have nurses here from Cuba, we have nurses from Ghana. We are seeking to keep many of the nurses in Grenada. That is why the government chose to pay the nurses an honorarium pretty much since we've gotten into government of $500 extra per month every month. That's $6,000 a year. And we've done so similarly with the doctors. We pay them an extra $1,000 per month, which is $12,000 a year, as a means of incentivizing them to remain so that we can have more resources. We have also been granting significant scholarships to nurses and doctors so they can study at St. George's University, so that we have greater supply of nurses and doctors. So for example, as recently as this January, we agreed with St. George's University to have 30 four-year medical degree programs. That's significant because traditionally the scholarship numbers are like 3 or 4. So we are talking here about a much more significant number of persons getting scholarships at significant cost to the taxpayers of Grenada, so that we can beef up our resources in terms of nurses and doctors. Our procurement of medical supplies and so on are partly done through the OECS health procurement system, and we continue to improve our inventory, improve our stock take to make sure that we can meet the needs of the community in the medical and health centers. We are also beginning to better organize patient records, and we are hoping that over time we can digitize health records so that nurses and doctors have greater access to this. And there are a number of other things we are doing in the community. Even in mental health, we have community mental health nurses who go to the community to treat persons who suffer from mental health issues, because we recognize sometimes the stigmatization that comes with having to go to the mental hospital at Mongay is also sometimes a challenge in and of itself. So that's just some of the things we are doing from a medical perspective in terms of primary health care. There are lots of other initiatives that the Ministry of Health is undertaking. In relation to our teachers, the Ministry of Education is pursuing a number of policies. Yes, teacher training is critical. That's one way to improve the outcome of teachers, and particularly in some of the specialist areas such as math. It's an area that we've been giving specific focus and attention to. The Ministry of Education has held a symposium on this issue and is rolling out a policy to support that. We're also trying to ensure that the specialist math teachers can actually go to the schools, particularly at the primary school level, and ensure that they can strengthen the delivery of the instructional methods for teaching of math, particularly in our primary school. And this is critical because we believe if we don't tackle it at the primary school level, by the time we get to secondary schools, it is too late. The premise of the question as to whether we can attract persons to come into the teaching industry, I may disagree with a little. I think almost every year new persons coming to the teaching industry, some stay, some move on. But teachers actually, I wish we could always pay them more, but they do have, they are generally in the context of the public service well paid. There are significant benefits that they have under the collective bargaining agreement. They can get scholarships, training, etc. There are increments for when they improve their academic performance, and we are aiming to have all teachers within the system trained. So yes, we do need more specialist teachers, particularly in the field of science, technical and vocational education, and we are working to ensure that we can encourage teachers to pursue training and specialist studies in those areas so that they can better come back and improve the outcomes for students in those areas.
Yes, so leadership matters. Look how our beloved Prime Minister answered the student. That is important. Leadership matters. And I want you to bear that in mind as we move along, because there are those who want to make you believe putting a person as a caretaker or having a person run as a member of parliament is victory, or that is what matters. Let me tell you this, that's not the case. When an election is called, people do not focus just on the candidates in their constituency. They look beyond that. It's about the country. It's about the leader that will emerge. And then you have to look at Emlyn Pear versus the most honorable Deacon Mitchell. Leadership matters. And I say to people, you cannot lose what you never had. You cannot lose what you never had. Right? And you cannot win what you have. So you have something, you cannot win it again. So you have to, you see the hype that some people are trying to create over this caretaker being placed in St. George Northwest, a constituency that Keith Mitchell been MP for and still MP for the last 40-something years. So that constituency has never gone to anybody else except one person, right? Besides Keith Mitchell, George Houston. That's before independence, right? 1974. Independence. So George Houston, that election was in 1972, I think. He beat Keith Mitchell. And Keith Mitchell came back in 84, right? So I don't know if George Houston remained there until 84 or there was another person in the mix. But Keith Mitchell held that seat from 1984 to this point. So for some of those novice and, euphoric political observers, supporters, they don't understand. You cannot lose what you already have. It's yours. This is your seat. You won that seat. So appointing a caretaker for that seat, you already have it. It's not a by-election. It's not a general election. And if you never had it, you cannot lose it, right? You never had it. NDC never had that seat. NDC never won that seat. I mean, you're talking about 41 years of Keith Mitchell holding that seat. But I want to say something further. It is not a national field. So yes, this guy got the nod to be the caretaker for that constituency. It is not a national field. But what I can tell you, history teaches us a number of things. And again, I will make a prediction. That prediction is one rooted in history. Just as Keith Mitchell did Howard Blaze and got the leadership of the NNP, it will be a similar thing that would happen between Adrian Joseph, who just got the nod to be caretaker of St. George Northwest, Keith Mitchell's constituency, and Emlyn Pierre when that convention comes. That's my prediction, that it will be a similar thing, because around Adrian, there's a group of ambitious people. I know them because I go to certain settings and I see them. They're ambitious. In fact, they're over-ambitious. And as a result, there will be a move to get rid of, in my belief, Emlyn Pierre as the leader of the NNP. So in my belief, there is a move to get rid of Emlyn Pierre as the leader of the NNP. I am not saying to you that Adrian will do it, but there are people who are within that circle who are so over-ambitious that they are planning, they are meeting regularly as to the next move. So A similar thing, in my belief, what transpired between Keith Mitchell and Howard Blaze, and that happened in the early 80s, right? And Emlyn Pay and Adrian. Because remember, it's Keith Mitchell behind the scenes. If you don't know, it's Keith Mitchell behind the scenes. And he's planning, because he knows that he made a mistake by putting Emlyn Pay as the leader of the NNP. He knows that. She never really moved the needle. She never gave NNP any jolt, any advantage. She never energized the base. She never excited them. And she's not leader material. But he's now seen that Keith Mitchell will not just kick her out, right? He would not just hold her by her ears and throw out of the party or remove her from the leadership. She already has it. So what he then would do in terms of damage control, in my belief, is to have Adrian, who he endorsed, and make sure that he became the caretaker for that constituency, is to have him make a move for leadership, in my belief. Not only that, I believe his wife will also, Keith Mitchell's wife, I believe that Keith Mitchell's wife will also throw her hat in the ring for St. Mark, in my belief. Because you see, Keith Mitchell is tactical. He still wants to have control of NNP. And to guarantee that those two safe seats for the NNP, he will insert, in my belief, put people that he is comfortable with, that he can trust in those two seats, to guarantee that they remain there. But that's just my belief. All right? Let's see what would happen. But I believe history will repeat itself in terms of the leadership struggle, or the struggle for control of the NNP come the next convention or the next convention. Because it's already brewing. You may not know, but I know. Because I am on the ground. I am in certain circles, and I listen to those folks. They are very, very ambitious and over-ambitious, in my belief. So this hype, this false hype that is being created around Adrian, because Adrian is not a national brand. He's not popular like that in the other constituencies. I mean, of course, the NNP, they're looking for somebody besides Emlyn Pay who can put up a fight. And as a result, they're trying to craft that and create that mole that would actually do that. And they see it in Adrian. Because they're looking for somebody. Because Emlyn Pay did not create that kind of energy and hype and momentum, and, you know, she never added anything to the NNP when she became leader. So they know that she doesn't stand a chance. So they're trying now to see who they can gravitate towards. And as a result, they're using Adrian as that person, in my belief. So the hype is being created among the NNP. And look, Adrian, he has friends. He has friends. Don't fool yourself. He's not stupid. He has been creating that whole thing, planning that whole thing, preparing himself for that whole thing for a very, very long time. He's not stupid. So he created friends in certain positions and certain places. Right? So all the hype, it's not a national one, but one rooted with NNP. Because they see Emlyn as a waste of time. They see Emlyn as NNP's problem now. She has not been able to create a serious impact nationally. She's more hated than liked by many, many people, particularly the people within NNP now. Within the NNP. And that's where the struggle lies, within the NNP. Because she has not been able to get the people in the middle to come towards the NNP. She has not been able to do that. And to really win an election in Grenada, you have to convince the people in the middle to support you. Because NDC has its base and its support. NNP has its base and its support. Both political parties. But they are not enough to just cross the line in all of those constituencies. There are people in the middle. There are people who are not NNP and who are not NDC. But they are not going towards Peter's party because Peter David is a jumping jack. He jumped from this party to the next party and he is not stable politically. People want stability, right? And Peter David has no balls politically. Or else he would have gone with Nuff and built Nuff, that political party, with his good friend in the South, right? We know what happened to Nuff. But the hero in all of this is one who dragged Peter into NNP to humiliate him ultimately. This guy was publicly embarrassed and humiliated by Keith Mitchell. I mean, Keith Mitchell unmasked this guy, Peter David. And as a result, with all the shame and embarrassment, he believes by starting some posy party, some kind of stupidness, he's going to get some relevance. But folks, all you need to do is to check all the people who was around Peter during the NDC time to now. Nearly all of them political career done. He was the only man, Peter David, standing. And Keith Mitchell unmasked him. The guy has no political viability. Right? But look at all the guys. All the people who are around Peter David. Look at them. The Ali Gill, the Stanford Simon, Joe Gilbert, Glennis Roberts, Carl Wood, all of them, the whole pack. Their political career was over. And Keith dragged Peter into the NNP circus, and he thought that he found a home, only to unmask him, humiliate him, embarrass him, because Keith Mitchell has more tact than Peter politically. So he knew what his plan was. And then he just spit him out. So both political parties, NDC and NNP, they have their base. They have their supporters. Both political parties. But the people in the middle. So Emlyn Pierre was not able to convince, persuade, or get the people in the middle to come over or to support NNP. So they know that. They're not stupid. They know. They also know that the most honorable Deacon Mitchell, he is strong, viable, winnable, likable. I mean, he's popular everywhere. Everywhere, in every constituency. And the NDC administration, the government itself, is very popular because they are doing things to help people, to impact the lives of people. So that is something that you need to know, right? So the whole election in itself must be about leadership. It has to be about leadership and not a MP in a constituency. Because anybody could be a member of parliament. Anybody could be an MP. Anybody could be a candidate in a constituency. It's more than that. It's way more than that. And that is why I say to people, this hype around Adrian, that is one short-lived. It will be. Right? And look, as I said to you, he has friends. I know the gentleman very well. I consider him to be a good pal of mine. I know him very well. And politics will not mash up our relationship. He cool, I cool. But do I think the NNP is viable, or that the NNP going to do anything to move this country forward, to transform this country, even if he is a part of the NNP? No, I don't think so. I don't, because the NNP has a history. And if you study the history, it has never been about people, because the very constituency that Adrian Joseph is to take over is one that has been abandoned more or less by Keith Mitchell and the NNP, in my belief. If you go to the outskirt or the inner parts of that constituency, you will see extreme poverty. Extreme poverty. You can't point to anything significant that Keith Mitchell did in that constituency over the 41 years. Building a piece of road, that's normal for any MP to do. But what is his lasting legacy in that constituency? You just go in the back end of the constituency. Go into Willis. Go into Granny Vale. Go into Boucherjou, Brizan. Go into Happy Hill. The back end. On the main road, you could be fooled. But just go into the back end. Fontenoy, Grand Mall. Just check it out. They have been abandoned. You have community centers. This man never renovated, upgraded, maintained none of them. The playing fields, he never lit them and, and bring opportunities to the young people in those areas. The condition of their houses, in terms of assisting them to renovate and upgrade and to move to the next level. You just go into that constituency. They have been abandoned for the 41 years or so. And we have to call it out. And I don't think Adrian could change this, because Keith Mitchell was prime minister and he couldn't do it. Because he bad mind. He bad minded. So now the lion gets old, all like a thing peeing on it. He decides, well, let me bow out at the lowest, because he's at the lowest politically. And then this guy comes and they believe that he's going to save them. What would he do differently? Because the NNP is a mentality. The NNP is deeply rooted when it comes to their philosophy, when it comes to their ideology, and when it comes to their plan. It hasn't changed a bit for all of these years. 5% of the NNP will be rich, and the next 95% will be poor. Scrunty, beggy, and they would, get them to come to an office and beg for everything. They would not be independent. They would not be able to make it on their own, and that's how they do it. And they treat them that way. And they kept a lot of these people illiterate. NNP, in my belief, kept their supporters illiterate. Cannot read, write, or reason. They have been stuck for all of these years. Just look at the NNP supporter, and you can simply draw up a profile, and that profile would fit for every other NNP supporter in every other constituency. So this hype around my good pal, that will be short-lived. But I'm saying that to say to you, the reason why there is a hype is because the NNP has a void. They have a crisis, a leadership crisis, because Emlyn Pear hasn't been able to make a serious impact on the NNP, their supporters. They don't see her as being able to win. She's not viable. She's not likable. Instead of adding, she caused NNP to lose. She's a liability and not an asset to NNP when she became leader. And how she became leader also created that. But as I said, history may well repeat itself. How Keith Mitchell got the leadership of the NNP from Hubert Blaze, the late Hubert Blaze. I think it's a similar move that may go down with, in my belief, with Adrian Joseph and Emlyn Pear. Because the mastermind behind all of this is Keith Claudius Mitchell. He's the mastermind. And I believe that his wife may throw a hat into the ring in St. Mark because Keith Mitchell realized he made a mistake, in my belief. And he can't just throw out Emlyn or remove her from the leadership position. But what he can do is to have Adrian go after the leadership by mounting that challenge, by mobilizing in those different constituencies to get him to remove her. And then they would say, well, it's a democratic system. It's democratic. The people voted him in, and that is what they wanted. Right? That's how it's tactical. And I believe his wife may throw a hat in the ring because these are two safe NNP seats, St. Mark and St. George Northwest. All right? So, folks, look, I want to say to you, this election should be about leadership, not just about a candidate in a constituency. That's insignificant. While it might play a role, it is not that important. It's about leadership. Can Emlyn Pear really lead this country? What has Emlyn Pear and the NNP put forward that's new, innovative, and creative? By bringing in a new caretaker for a constituency, what will that do to the person who needs a job? What will that do to the family who is concerned about cost of living or their health or their young people? What will that change for them? Nothing. NNP having a caretaker in St. George Northwest, that would not change anything. You know, amazingly, I've not heard about this Amanda Japal woman, this young lady. She's rowdy, loud. I haven't heard anything much about her lately. And you see, the NNP had some folks, right, that they put forward as caretakers, and they never created a buzz. Adrian is creating a buzz in St. George Northwest. Not a national appeal, but he has friends in different places. But they had the Diali guy in South St. George. I think he's still there, right? He never created any buzz, any hype in South St. George, the commerce capital of Grenada, right? They had the Amanda Japal young lady. I mean, she's just rah. She never created a buzz or any hype. Same thing with Nolene, Thompson, I think is her name. The one with the funny accent. right? She never created a buzz or some big, movement or energy or vibes. Who was the other guy? Jelani Glean. Or that song? Yeah, Jelani Glean, right? He never created any. Same thing with all who they put. Peepers. I remember Peepers used to be in South. My good partner Peepers used to be in South and they just spit him out like a plum seed. In my belief, was my good partner and my good pal. Peepers was a boy, but one of the people who they endorse or drag into the NNP commerce, they never really made a big impact, right? So they're hoping that Adrian will create that impact. And then it's alleged that this short guy is Noel. He has this place just outside the airport, right? Just outside the airport, where they sell little food and little things there. I don't know him as any popular guy. He's a short guy, but I see him from time to time in NNP activities and so on, right? I knew him as a teacher, but he's not all that. So what on the ground is that they want to install him in the town of St. George. That's what on the ground. But it's nothing wrong with you having a caretaker in any constituency, because the NDC, they will change some of the candidates next election, right? You would see new faces in some of those constituencies, even in some constituencies where a person won their seat, but it became somewhat not viable, unpopular, the likability and favorability have dropped significantly. So you would see changes there, right? That's kind of normal. But the election must be about leadership. It has to be, because Grenada has a stable leader, one with vision, one who is focused, one who is intelligent, one who is level-headed, because you need level-headedness in leadership, because a lot of people talking, but you have to be level-headed and you have to be full of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to discern right from wrong, to negotiate in the best interest of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. So it's about leadership. Who do you want to see as the leader of the country? I remember some years ago, in 2013, a wise man said to me, Kem, what I want you to do, because remember, all the parties, the NNP and the NDC, they had all the candidates on one flyer or one poster, and the NDC had all the candidates on one poster. And he said to me, take the both posters and put it on a wall in your room and just stare at it for a moment. And tell me, at that time, tell me who will win. And I did it. And when I looked at the people that the NDC was putting up, same old recycled, who were badly beaten how much times, right? They happened to get a blight at the period, but it's the same old. They became unpopular at the time and all that, but they still wanted to run, and they still run them. And then I said, the guy is right. Right? So this time around, it is important to put up Emlyn Pay, because it's about leadership, not just about the MPs. Emlyn Pay, right? And the Most Honorable Deacon Mitchell. Who will you vote for? Even if you're not happy with an MP in your constituency or a candidate in your constituency, who will you vote for? Will you vote for the Emlyn woman or the Most Honorable Deacon Mitchell? That is important. Who will you put your future in the hands of? Emlyn Pay or the most honorable Deacon Mitchell? And I think that is where you have to make that decision. And I think the decision is clear. The most honorable Deacon Mitchell has demonstrated that he cares and that he is the right man to run this country, to govern this country, to bring prosperity and opportunities to our people, to transform this place. I'm not telling you that he's perfect. I am not saying to you that the people around him, that all of them, that all of them are all cool and all good, and you can, I'm not telling you that, but I'm telling you that he, the individual, is a good man. He's a genuine man. He's sincere, and he believes in people, and he wants good for people. So today, I thought I should tell you those things, my belief, my opinion, and have you think about it, right? Think about it. Because we are at a crossroads. We are at a junction. And there are a lot of roads connecting to that junction. It's important that you understand that, right? Will you go into uncharted territory? Will you go into places that you don't know? Because we have seen Emlyn Pay, we have seen NNP for 20-something years. Some of the things that we are seeing today happening in Grenada, they are life-changing. They're transformative. And you could look at the simplest thing, like the amputees. NNP being in power for all the years, they never focus on the amputees to give them mobility again. Or something as simple as having a bathroom and toilet facility at Hope Beach. Or lighting at Hope Beach, solar lights. Or a bathroom and toilet facility at Montrouge playing field. Or lighting of the Montrouge playing field. Or the lighting, the solar lights at Grandans Beach, so that people can be safe at night. Something as simple as that. Or something as simple as providing free tuition to the young people so they can access tertiary level education. Or something as simple as feeding the students, 16,000 students daily, a hot meal so that they can go to school without worrying where that hot meal will come from. Or something as simple as moving a family from the use of peat latrines to a flushable toilet, a modern flushable toilet, painted, electricity done, plumbing done, phase basins, toilet, everything in there. Or moving something as simple as providing a person with title and deed for that piece of government land that they have been on for all the years. Or something as simple as bringing pipe-borne water to communities without. Or something as simple as providing the first generation scholarship to somebody in that household who never had the opportunity to access a university, just one person in that house. Or something as simple as increasing the salaries of police officers, increasing the salaries of nurses, increasing the salaries of doctors. Or something as simple as giving security of tenure to hundreds of teachers or public servants generally. Or something as simple as the minimum wage, giving security officers more money on a monthly basis or hourly basis, giving more the laborers, the housekeepers, the gardeners, the geriatric caregivers, the clerks, giving them more at the end of the month. Simple things counts. And it's something that you need to ponder upon, right? Something as simple as lighting of the Lauriston Airport in Carriacou. Something as simple as repairing, renovating, upgrading, modernizing the Princess Royal Hospital in Carriacou. Something as simple as providing an oxygen plant for the people of Carriacou. Something as simple as being able to test blood, do the blood works and so on, having a lab right there in Carriacou to test blood in Carriacou. Something as simple as the Windward Jetty for the people of PT Martinique. Something as simple as the Windward Fish Market modernization and upgrade. Something as simple as the clinics and so on being upgraded. Something as simple as the Hillsborough police station being upgraded. Something as simple as the schools being renovated and some being built brand new throughout Grenada, Carriacou, and PT Martinique. Something as simple as having playgrounds around those schools and playing fields and so on. Come on. Leadership matters. The Most Honorable Deacon Mitchell cares about people and their well-being and their constant improvement. Something as simple as the Elevate Her youth program, where hundreds of young people getting the opportunity to train, to gain a stipend, and to become employable. Something as simple as the Digital Workforce Initiative, where 100 young people got the opportunity, paid for by the government, $2 million, paid for by the government to pursue training in ICT and, telecommunication generally, cybersecurity and so on, and getting the opportunity to work and earn a daily bread. Something as simple as the Empower program, where they give them more stipend, more money as a stipend, more money as a grant at the end of the program. Something as simple as women in agriculture or youth in agriculture, $7 million, 3-point-something million, both programs. Just something as simple as that, right? Something as simple as fixing of the roads. The government continues to widen roads and fix roads, right? In fact, from April, you would see some major road works being done. Complete resurfacing of the roads, because they are doing drains and so on, from Point Celine all the way up to St. Andrew and all those different places, right? Something as simple as the license. We don't have to go and drive for it again and pay a driving school how much money. You just, after 5 years on the road, you can upgrade your driver's license. Something as simple as the passport, being 10 years and not 5 years, and paying very little for that. Something as simple as tax amnesty. A lot of people enjoyed that. Getting your record clean and being able to start all over afresh. Something as simple as decriminalization of cannabis and opening that industry. So there are a lot that you can point to. And so many things have happened in the health sector that I can list for you. In agriculture, in tourism, look at the amount of flights that's coming here to Grenada. So we have seen it all, and we continue to see the Most Honorable Deacon Mitchell and his team doing things that are transformative, and we need to embrace that. The Cliff Road, yes, it's coming on nicely. The project in the south, it's coming on nicely. And yes, we know that there are people who are sabotaging, slowing down the work, dragging. But the Most Honorable Deacon Mitchell, he has to put on his feet and take drastic actions. And we will support you because we know their plans. We know their strategy. So, folks, I want to wish you all the best. My good friend sent me a little ad there, right? And she's a very nice lady, Tessa Ann, Alexander, over there in Canada. I mean, she's a patriotic Grenadian. She sang, she performs. She's saying to me, hey, Kem, on February the 1st, that's next Sunday, from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., there will be a food festival in Sates by the Brickwater Project. And she's inviting everyone to come and see her perform there, right? So Tessa and Again, thank you very much for continuing to work on behalf of Grenada. And she has a really good performance and songs. So you must go there and be a part of that as we celebrate 52 years of independence. All right. Folks, I want to wish you all the best. Have a wonderful Sunday. I'll be back with you tomorrow, God's willing, starting from 8 in the AM.